Well, good morning, everyone. Today is Monday, May 20th, 2019, and this is the Healing the Heart of America course. My name is Stephen Wynn, and I am always so grateful that you come to join in this really amazing project of healing the wounds in the heart of America. It says volumes about your heart. And my intention is that everyone's heart become opened, that we all start living completely and fully from our hearts, and that in this process we begin healing the deep wounds in the subconscious of America, these wounds in the heart of America, and that we, in this process, allow America to step forward into its role as a spiritual leader for the world. We've been the economic and military leader, but the vision of the Founding Fathers was of spiritual leadership. And that's my intention for all of us. So, let's begin, because we have a fabulous day. I was really dreading today. The topic is sex trafficking. And I thought about it yesterday. I got this deep weight in my heart about it. But then after I sent out that email to everyone as a reminder, it just got lighter and lighter, and I realized the deeper the energy, the darker the energy, the more transformation there is for us, individually and as a nation. So let's begin by starting the process of moving into our hearts. And we just put our hands, we sit up straight, feet flat on the floor, always being comfortable. And just place your hands, cross your hands, put them over your heart. And let's just greet our hearts with love, with gratitude. Both the physical organ and the heart is the center of our energetic bodies. And just breathe into your heart. We have a stream of breath that comes in through the nose, down into our chest. That's the surface of the breath. The depth of the breath is we draw in the energy of creation. Just allow that energy that usually rides on the air, but you could just go directly into your heart. And let's allow our heart to wake up to its essential nature. And maybe we can begin to start feeling the pulse in our heart, through our fingertips, through our hands, our palms. If not, don't worry about it. And when you're comfortable, just let your hands back down into your lap. And just notice what a minute or two of attention on our heart does for us. Notice how we feel, how quickly our presence shifts when we move into the center of our being, the core of our energetic existence. And now let's begin this beautiful process of heart rhythm meditation. Drawing way back to the great God-realized beings of the desert fathers and mothers, and who just breathe with breath and heart. They just meditated with their breath, with their hearts. Two of my teachers, Brun and Susanna Baer, brought this out. And we just begin the process of heart rhythm meditation by breathing into just breathing naturally, actually. I'm jumping ahead of myself. Just breathing, sort of saying hello to our breath. Noticing anything about our breath that shows up, how easy, how deep, how smooth. Are we clogged at all? Whatever it is, just to notice it. It's our way of saying hello to this great process in our body. It connects us to the energetic beings of all creation. And after a minute or two of this, let's just begin shifting into a very full exhale. Pull the abdominal muscles all the way back towards the spine. And then just notice how fully we automatically inhale. And let's just do this full inhale and exhale for a minute or so. And when it's comfortable, let's begin the process of connecting the rhythm of our breathing with the rhythm of our heartbeat. So just begin to feel your heartbeat. And then start the process of inhaling to the heartbeat and exhaling. 6 or 8 beats per inhale, 6 or 8 beats per exhale. Could be more, could be less, whatever is comfortable for you. If you can't feel your heartbeat, just feel your pulse in your wrist or in your neck. Or you can simply hold your breath for a while until your heartbeat shows up. And if none of those seem to work for you today, just breathe in rhythmically to a count of 6 or 8. Long, full breaths. As these two rhythms move together, just spontaneously, the pumping of the cerebral spinal fluid up and down the spine into the brain will begin to merge into a connected rhythm. And will begin to merge with the rhythm of the earth, the pulse, the electromagnetic pulse of the earth. And eventually to the pulse of all creation. And just continue this for a little bit. And every day we add a variation of this practice just to expose everyone to the amazing possibilities of the energies of our heart. We started with the dimensions of the heart, from the back, forward, bring the energy of the heart out into our world. And then from pulling it in from the left and extending it out to the right, we receive from the left, we give from the right. We moved up to the height of the heart, the optimism, the idealism, down to the depth of the heart, our compassion, our surrender, our service. And then we went inside the heart to the interior value, the inner side of the heart. Lately we've been working on the 5 elements. We started with earth, breathing in and out through our nostrils down into the earth. Then the water element, allowing it to pull down as rain coming down, inhaling through our nose and exhaling through our open lips, spreading this flow of love, this quality of flow, of ease. This morning, let's go into the fire breath. And I just feel called to tell you why these elements are so significant to me here. When I was first learning heart rhythm meditation, I took a course called the 101 course from I Am Heart. One of the very first experiences I had, I started getting all these visions and things from my heart, is I saw crystally clear the heart, just like I was looking at a diagram in a medical anatomy book. Crystal clear, I saw the 4 chambers of the heart, and I knew, without question, that each chamber referred to one element. And then I asked, but what about space, akasha? And suddenly the pericardial sac lit up like a neon light. And I knew this tissue that surrounds and holds the heart was the space element. Now, I've mentioned the 8 prakritis before, the 5 elements, the mind, the ego, the intellect. This is Mother Nature. This is part of the process of creation arising, and the 5 elements are so part of that. But what I get now is that every time we work with the heart, we are enlivening and strengthening the 5 elements, the very foundation, the chandas value of creation, the elemental kingdom. And so as we do these elemental breathing practices, please just know the vastness of these impulses of divine energy, these 5 elements. They are the keys to understanding and working with all of creation at every level. So in the fire element, we inhale through our open lips, filling the solar plexus with fire, like we're blowing into a fire. And then we exhale through our nose. We pull the fire, the light of the fire, out through our heart and spread it into the world. So breathe in through open lips, filling up the solar plexus. It's like a fire, an orange fire burning. And pulling the energy up into our heart and exhaling out through our nostrils. sharing our light with the world. Inhale to the count of 8, to 8 heartbeats. Exhale to 8 heartbeats. And is it okay with us if we become intimately connected to these 5 elements? This morning to Agni, to fire. And just let's go to the gratitude of fire, which for us also includes not just fire, but electronic energy, electricity, how it powers our homes, our cars, our lives. Every sort of energy like this is all part of the fire element. Could we sit in adoration and gratitude for this incredible impulse of energy and intelligence in creation? And now let's come back, focusing on our hearts, and again expand our heart field. We inhale, we pull the energy into our heart, and we exhale, we expand our energetic bodies. And we inhale and exhale again and expand them even further. Maybe for us it's just a few inches outside, maybe it's several feet, maybe we fill the room. Wherever it is, it's fine. This is a process of just exploring our energetic body and expanding our heart field even more. Inhale and expand even further, maybe filling the city or the state or the country. Inhale again fully and again expanding it out, maybe to fill the world. We'll be dealing with very big energies today. It helps for us to be expanded in our energetic self. So we start by dealing with the issues within our own heart field. All the stored traumas and wounds, faint or big. And today the topic, of course, is sex trafficking, but on an individual level. Let's just explore our own feelings about sex. I say it's a big topic. So just ask yourself, what's your first thought or feeling about sex? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? You have great memories, bad memories. Whatever sort of jumps forward, and again, it can be petty, it could be small, it could be big. Go wherever it's comfortable for you to go. And whatever comes up for you, could you just be with that feeling, that thought, that memory, that fear perhaps, or that delight? Good or bad, it doesn't matter. Just be with that, love that. Don't even have to love it. Just being with it is a form of acceptance, tolerance, which merges into love at some point. And just notice what happens to that memory, to that feeling. Whatever happens is fine. We're allowing the intelligence of our body and our heart to heal at the right pace for us. So let's pull up some more energy here. What's your worst memory of sex? And whatever that energy brings up, could you either be with that energy, or could you pull it into your heart and pick a divine quality of the heart that you would like to develop? The heart transforms energy by our intention. And the divine quality I'm going to be speaking to, and you use whatever one is right for you, is purity. Is it okay with us if we pull up this energy and allow it to shift into purity? And check to see if you have some resistance, as in, I don't deserve to be pure. I don't have a pure background. Whatever thought or feeling comes up about it, I'm not worthy of it, whatever it is, can you just see that's an old thought or feeling and let that go? Welcome that up and let that energy shift into purity. Is it okay if we allow even more purity? And maybe pull up the statement, I look forward to being a completely pure being. Many of us will just say, yes, that's perfect. And others will say, well, I'm not sure I'm ready to go there yet. Whatever comes up, can you welcome that feeling and just allow it to shift into more purity? And have you ever been pressured to have sex when you didn't really want to but said yes anyway? Or the other side of that might be, have you ever pressured someone to have sex when they didn't really want to, and they might have said, okay, yes, let's do it. And my question is, how does that feel now when you look back at that? What energy comes up with it? And whatever comes up, could we allow ourselves to simply be with that? Pull it into our hearts and allow the development of this divine quality of purity. And is it okay with us if we move into our identity as heart-centered spiritual beings and bring forth the intention that for us, we allow the energy of sex to be restored to its pure function in alignment with the divine creative force of nature. Whatever that means to you, is it okay with us if we allow this incredible, fantastic, creative energy to be used to fuel the fulfillment of the deep wishes of our heart? It's a very creative, powerful force. Could we let go of any distortion of this energy? We all have it. It's cultural. Could we let go of any distortion of this energy and allow to arise within us this powerful use of this power to fulfill the deep wishes of our hearts? And then maybe to create children, or maybe to create art, or service, whatever it is. Could we just say yes to this power? And check to see if there's any sense of fear of becoming a powerful being. For many of us, we have, oh, I'm afraid I'll misuse it. Can we welcome up that fear into our hearts and let that fear shift into the purity of our hearts? Would it be okay with us if we become magnetically powerful beings, radiating the deepest truth of creation, using this power properly, easily, effortlessly? It's just an intention. There's no trying here. And from this place, let's begin to look at this worldwide and very American issue of sex trafficking. This is modern-day slavery. And right now we're in an expanded space. I'm going to bring out some of the statistics about this, just to allow whatever energy comes up with it, to allow us to pull that energy into our hearts and transform it. Because when we respond with horror, we suppress, we don't look at. We want to bring this to the light of day, that the energy of our hearts can start the process of healing this wound in America. It's a huge business. Estimates run from $100 billion to $150 billion a year. Bigger than the business of illegal gun sales, by far. In the United States, every year about 300,000 kids are lured and trapped into sex trafficking. They become sex slaves. 300,000. 2/3 of those are girls, usually from 11 to 14. 1/3 of them are boys, also sex victims. And their average lifespan, once they're pulled into this sex slavery, is about 7 years. 7 years before they die of a drug overdose or HIV or some other sexual disease or simply malnutrition. They're used, abused, and discarded and killed. And just breathe deeply into our hearts. This is the reality of sex trafficking in America. That's just for the kids. 600,000 to 800,000 adults also pulled into it. Many of them brought in from overseas, promised to be nannies or something like that, and instead forced to be sex slaves. Right now we have about 1.3 million homeless kids in the streets in America. They're the target. So let's just imagine for a moment the pain and the horror. Just allow our hearts to connect to the life of these young boys and these young girls who leave their homes because they're being abused, because they're being beaten, whatever the reason is. They don't leave because they're happy at their home, and they end up trapped. Let's make it more personal. Imagine it's our children, our daughters and sons, our nieces, our nephews. Can we pull up this energy, whatever reaction we have, and just let it be transformed into, for some reason this is changing for me now, into alignment with natural law. And there's really two groups of what we'd normally call villains. There's the pimps, the sex traffickers, and there's really the men who have their own problems, who are using their services. But let's look at them first. And notice how easy it is to judge them. And does judging them heal them? And really it does not. But here is why fire is so valuable here. It is quite within the purview of the heart, particularly the solar plexus, the depth of the heart, to draw very clear and strong boundaries. And I say, and I invite you to join me in saying, no more. No more shall this energy, this distortion of the sex drive, plague our nation or the world. That time is over. And we say this with the fullest and most complete resolve. This distortion of the sex drive is done. And we call nationwide and worldwide for the right use of this creative force in our nation and in the world today. With that clear boundary, let's look at all these men. Really, it's predominantly men by far, who are using these sex slaves. Many of them don't even know they're sex slaves. They think they're just prostitutes. Most of them do, though. Could we open up our hearts to the conditions that created this distortion within them, their own abuse, their own frustration, their own lack of love, their own loneliness, whatever it is, can we pull this energy into our hearts and let it shift into purity and love? Just check. Is it okay with us if we forgive this part of the triangle there? The women, the men, and the traffickers. Which would we rather do? Which feels better for us? Would we rather judge the men? Would we rather move into our hearts and see with the eyes of our hearts and allow the divine quality of mercy and forgiveness to come forth? Which brings us closer to the divine? Which strengthens our own heart? And could we allow this forgiveness even more, all the while holding with the power of universal fire that says, no more. Now we move into a period where this divine energy is properly used in alignment with natural law. Let's take another look at the victims again. Check to see if we have any judgment towards them. There's a lot of blame that goes towards them. We blame them for their mistakes. We blame them for their stupidity. How could they? How could they? And I invite us all to pull up any energy like that, any judgment there, and just let that shift into forgiveness and mercy. The same question here. Would we rather judge these girls, these women, or would we rather love them? And could we love them even more? It's easy to have compassion for them. We can go there easily. And can we shift from seeing them as poor victims, which they are, we know this, into seeing them as spiritual beings with some very difficult experiences they have to go through. Very challenging beings, very challenging experiences. But could we honor whatever their own life plan is for their own evolution? All the while holding the vision of all these girls and women becoming profound, powerful beings living from the purity of their hearts. Can we give them this gift? And I'd say this for the men also. The men who use their services, so to speak. Can we see them all as profound, powerful spiritual beings who may have gone wayward in the past but are now stepping forward to create a completely heart-centered world? Much more powerful way to look at them, isn't it? And check to see if you have any resistance to this. If you feel that we're somehow cheating or it's not realistic. But could we allow ourselves to go to that space, the vision of our hearts, and recognize just how rapidly people can step into their divine nature. Some of the great literature of India, written, cognized by former thieves, turned into holy men. Could we not allow the same possibility for the women and the men in this part of creation? And let's go to the sex traffickers, the pimps, the slavers. They give them a judgmental name. There they are, enslaving women, enslaving men. And what feelings come up in our own hearts when we think about slavery and the men who perpetrate this slavery, men and women who perpetrate this slavery? Whatever feeling that is, whatever not liking, whatever resistance, could we pull that into our hearts and let that shift into love, into tolerance or acceptance? And really, do we heal them by condemning them? And of course we do not. Could we hold a picture of them filled with love, of them using their power properly in a way that uplifts our society? And can we just pull up a whole picture of this mess? And just whatever picture comes to your mind or whatever feeling comes to your mind when you think about the whole sex trafficking, and just whoosh, allow that to dissolve and fade away. And instead pull up a picture back to the right use of creative force, of what our world would look like, what our nation would look like if we take this tremendous creative power and use it to implement the divine wishes of our hearts, the divine wish of the heart of America, the wish of Mother Earth. And with that, let's come back into our hearts. Perhaps put attention on the soles of our feet. And when it's comfortable and easy, please open your eyes. you all very much. So this ends the formal part of the program. If anyone has questions or gains or has been stirred up and wants to work privately or individually, anyone on the phone, just hit *6 to unmute yourself. Say hello. Can you guys hear me on the phone? Oh, wait. Maybe my speakers are down. Nope, speakers are up.
I can hear you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Should we just sit quietly with this energy? It's pretty deep energy, wasn't it? Yes. Would you come up so everybody on the phone can hear you? Just pin it on your, either hold it in your hand or just pin it to your lapel.
Is that close enough?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
When I was thinking of this earlier this morning, what came up for me was that there was a time when this energy was known for its divine essence and actually used for spiritual growth and used for physical healing, and that some of us might be involved in the loss of that knowledge. And that was what came up for me.
So, would you like to work with that?
Sure. Yeah.
Why don't you pin that on your lapel? It might be easier for you.
Oh.
There you go. Thanks. So, when you think about the loss of the purity of this knowledge, what feeling comes up for you?
Real deep sadness.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So, when you feel it in your heart, that's how you touch your hand to your heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and everyone else, if you've got any sense at all that way in the deep, deep past, or even in this lifetime, we have been somewhat responsible for purity falling. Feel whatever energy comes up. Can you just feel that energy and just be with it? I forgot your name.
Oh, it's Sharon.
Sharon. So Sharon, can you just feel that energy and be with it?
What was the question again?
Just all that sadness you're feeling. Can you just be with that?
Mm-hmm.
And what happens when you feel that energy?
There's a tenderness that arises.
Yes. Could you welcome up that tenderness and allow that to shift into forgiveness of yourself for whatever might have happened? Right. There's a tendency to say it shouldn't have happened, right? And yet, trees grow old and they flower and bloom, they're beautiful, and then they get old and they decay, and they collapse. Knowledge rises and knowledge falls. Would it be okay, Sharon, if you looked at this from that perspective?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And could you give yourself some love no matter what you might have done in the past?
Yes.
And everyone else, no matter what mistakes we might have made in the past, could you let go of disapproving of yourself for not being perfect? And then give yourself some love and approval. And more love and approval. So how's that energy going for you right now, Sharon? What do you feel?
Very sweet.
Very sweet.
Yeah.
Is it okay with you if you live in this sweetness 24/7?
More than okay.
More than okay. We got that smile from you, didn't we? So for the rest of us, can we allow this place of quietness, peace, surrender, whatever shows up best for you? I'm just going to use the word purity. This place of purity. Is it okay with us if we live in purity 24/7? You know, there's a wonderful quote from the Desert Fathers. I think this is the time to bring it out. In our culture, spirituality is mostly about silence. We go, oh, could we live in silence 24/7? And that's sort of the end-all and the be-all, so to speak. The Desert Fathers saw it very differently. So one of the great Desert Fathers, and I forget his name, unfortunately, a young man came up to him and said, Abba, give me some advice. Give me a word is the phrase they use. They said, give me some advice. And he said, what should I be doing spiritually? You know, what should I be focusing on? And the Abba said to him, well, you know, Abraham was known for his generosity and his hospitality. And God was with him. And David was known for, I think it was his service and his ecstatic love. And God was with him. Elijah was known, favored silence. Elijah's the one who went into the cave. Great story. And the wind blew and God wasn't in the wind. And the rain fell and God wasn't in the rain. And the lightning came and God wasn't in the fire. God wasn't in the cave itself, but God was in the silence. Very famous passage for the esoteric reading of the Bible. And he said, so Elijah favored silence as God was with him. And that's the culture now. But traditionally, all of these divine qualities are equal to the silence. You have the Rishi value, which is the silence. You have the Devata value, the kingdom of the angels in the Western mysticism. The Devata value where all these qualities reside. And they are just as subtle as the silence. So purity is one of these qualities. Is it okay with us? We'll go back there again. If we allow ourselves to be and see ourselves and experience ourselves as absolutely pure. Is that okay with you, Sharon? Mm-hmm. It's okay. Does resistance come up? Like disbelief?
No.
No, you're just there. You're a pure soul. Fantastic. So, are we in a good space here, or is there more to work on?
No, it's beautiful.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have this dual microphone system now, so that because people on the phone always say when we use this microphone from the computer, it's not as clear. Anyone on the phone have a question or a comment? *6 to unmute yourself. Otherwise, we're 5 minutes to 10, and everybody's very quiet. Thank you very much, Sharon. Really appreciate that. John. And by the way, if you will ever get a chance to talk to John, he is a huge surprise when you discover the inventiveness of his mind. So would you pin this on your shirt maybe, or
Okay.
something like that? So what's going on, John?
Well, I was noticing something at the end, and when we're calling in the light, and I was trying to take a look at it a little bit closer. The way I saw it inside of my vision, is like a big, dark ball cloud kind of thing that was there. And so it just kind of blipped up and then and a little bit vague. And so I was wanting to look at it a little bit more, perhaps, as I identified it as being connected with the ego, and also with the use of force for control.
Yes, the power side of sex. So John, this dark cloud that came up that you associate with ego and control. So did you like it?
I was just more or less observing it.
Observing.
But
Good.
I mean, if we want to go into that dark cloud, we could take a look at that.
So I look forward to going into that dark cloud. How does that feel to you?
That's fine with me.
How does it feel to everybody else? Can you find any darkness within yourself? Is it okay to move into that darkness? Yeah. So just go ahead and dive into that darkness, John.
Yeah. And one of the aspects of that is it has kind of a turbulent nature.
Yes.
I mean, there's a darkness that's kind of smooth and accepting, but this is more like...
violent.
Yeah, it's a little bit like
It's okay.
I'm not seeing it necessarily as violent, but I'm seeing it as...
it's okay. Whatever it is.
A lot of mixed qualities.
Good. Whatever it is it okay for you to go inside of that?
Sure.
And by the way, notice in our spiritual culture, we tend to have a judgment against our ego. That it's the ego that keeps us from experiencing our divine nature. And I'm going to invite everyone, because part of that turbulence is the ego, in my opinion. I'm going to invite everyone to look at the ego through the eyes of your heart. And realize it's not the ego that has stepped forward to interfere with our spirituality. It's the deeper part of our own nature that has abdicated. And that as our hearts restore themselves to their rightful place, the ego is going to be relieved that it's no longer being asked to do things that it's not suited for. The ego and the mind want to serve the heart. We blame them when we abdicate and they take over. So John, this pool of darkness you're diving into...
Well, it's more like a cloud than a pool.
Cloud is fine. This cloud of darkness that you're moving into. Is it okay if you expand your presence to fill the entire cloud? And everyone else, do the same. Does that work for you or not?
Well, the question arises, expand from what?
From your heart. From the very essence of your blueprint, soul, whatever you want to call it, that first emerged from the Absolute. Could you allow that to fill that entire cloud?
Well, that cloud is contained within that,
Yes.
more or less.
And I'm asking you to become aware of and notice everything about this cloud as a way of loving it. Would that be okay with you?
Sure.
Could you love it some more? And everyone else, these dark places within us are part of us, calling for love. Would you be so kind as to extend your love to these dark places? So as you move into love, John, with this cloud, what happens?
Well, right now I'm in a little different place. I'm looking at it. There's a theme of the Dark Mother. So, I mean, like in the darkness, I noticed two different aspects, and the Dark Mother is very different from the dark cloud.
Would it be okay with you if this dark cloud poured into the Dark Mother and was transformed and healed? Yes. And notice the relief in that dark cloud to rest in the bosom of the Dark Mother. Do you get that? I get that. I don't want to put that into you. He's shaking his head yes. Would it be okay with us if all the darkness within us is honored and loved, a part of ourselves, light and dark? This is what exists in creation, and we are the mirror of that. Is it okay if we mirror creation perfectly? Might as well be okay because it's happening. Could we just love and honor that? What's happening right now, John?
It's going pretty much into silence.
Pretty much into silence. Okay. Everybody else go there? Are we good, or is there more to work with here, John?
No, I think that's fine for this.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Having gone into the silence, shall we call it a morning? Thank you all very much. Very grateful that you come. Let's see if we can unmute everyone on the phone. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, we're turning the recording off.